Well, hello again, YouTube. I'm Ross, the Oliver Man, and I figure for today, there's no need to put it off anymore. We might as well unload the 1850 that I bought and see about trying to put it back into a shape that looks more like a tractor. So let's get going. There's a lot of asses that live around here. The driver just might be one of them. We put this on here with a skid loader with pallet forks. So we're gonna see how this goes with the tractor and loader. I guess the goal here is for me to destroy as much stuff as possible to make it more difficult for myself later. That's usually how it goes. Well, unfortunately, the stupidity epidemic struck here, and I forgot to chain the front. I got too excited about taking this off of there, and the GoPro took kind of a hard hit, and it ended up breaking the camera mount. So you might get some interesting angles from now on. I don't know, until I find something else to hold the camera. But this part's off. I got it tilted up in the air a little so I can get a block under it, and then we'll try to put the front frame on it at least. And I've got wheels, which I'll show you, that I saved from another project, and I think we can maybe get it close to being a rolling chassis in a short time. Well, I found another mount for the GoPro, so I figure now we'll just continue our downward spiral and use a John Deere to do this next part. So I know you're surprised. Everybody's got one. It's like a embarrassing relative. You got at least one, you just don't brag about it. But anyway, my grandpa bought this new, and so it's always been on this place, and it's always going to be on this place. But it's actually kind of an unusual bird in the John Deere world, I think, because it's a 2020 high crop utility. Most of them were lower down, and this one's on 36-inch rubber. So it's been sitting for a long time, and this spring I put a brand new Chinesium hydraulic pump in it, so you'll get to hear that thing banging away while we do this. I'm glad that they have such precision machining over there. Makes things work great. So here's the wheels for this project. If you see me on Facebook, you might remember these as the wheels that were on the 1855. I had them for sale and I had several people interested, but nobody really came after them. And the last guy wanted just the rims and the tires, and I started to take the centers out. So I got one center in and one center out. So now I get to put them back together again and use them for this 1850 project. And that's good because these tires are really pretty good yet. I put them on new on the 1855 maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I don't remember what it was, but they still got a considerable amount of life left. So it's good that they're gonna be used in another one of my projects. Well, before we put this back together, I think we should probably clean up the mating surfaces a little bit. It's got some surface rust, as you can see. So we'll let the air compressor get built up, and I've got a handy little wire wheel on a die grinder. While this is apart, this is a good time to show where the speedometer cable goes into these tractors. And I've had several where the speedometer didn't work, and what it amounts to is there's a little gear in there, and on the ones I took apart, the teeth were stripped off. As of just a year or so ago, you could still get that gear from AGCO. So if your speedometer's not working, try to take this loose and pull that out and see if that's what your problem is, because if your cable's good, then it's got to be probably in here or the gauge is bad. Another thing you can see while this is apart, behind these plugs are the shift rails in the transmission. So if you've got a broken one, you can get those plugs out and then slide the shift rail out the front. You'll probably have to pull the motor and the hydraulic shift or hydropower, whatever you have. There are some occasions where you might be able to snake it out if you take the bolts loose and everything and kind of let the engine slide a little bit, but really it's just easier to get it out of your way so you've got room to work. So the transmission's held on with 8 bolts, and then there's a dowel pin on each side, and then you use these 12-point bolts here. So we'll see about getting it lined up and getting these two halves back together again. Well, that wasn't very graceful, but it worked. You don't usually take frames off of Olivers because you can do almost everything with them on their 4 wheels. I thought about hooking it from the end, but I figured I could make it work with the right amount of prying and manipulation. So I think I'll put a little Loctite on these bolts and try to turn them in there. Well, when you work on Sunday, nothing seems to go right. So, keeping with the theme, my Loctite bottle, the nozzle stuck in the cap, so I made kind of a mess. So we'll continue our theme of disaster and use a chrome socket on the impact to put these in. Well, for final tightening, we might as well use a OSHA approved breaker bar with the long piece of box tubing to make sure it's nice and tight, because I really don't think you want those bolts to come out while you're driving. Well, it's just that easy. Tomorrow we'll work on trying to get it up on 4 wheels. The only casualty I noticed from our event today is I broke this piece of pipe off in the hydraulic unit, so I'll have to get an easy out and get that out. Otherwise, I think we did pretty good. Remember, if you like Oliver and White tractors, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button, and I'll try to keep making things that you might find interesting featuring Olivers and Whites. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.